तो पार्ट 3 में जो है 55 तक बता दिया गया था, है ना, हमारा इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। अब मैं 56 से स्टार्ट कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है। सो हियर 56 हियर, जो कि सारा एग्जाम में काम आएगा, डोंट वरी, बी हैप्पी, राइट। सो इसके लिए कोई टेंशन नहीं लेना है कि इस एग्जाम में ये आएगा। जो अगर पॉलिटी आ रहा है, अगर यहाँ पे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का सवाल आ रहे हैं, तो सिंपल सी बात है, आप सही वीडियो को देखे हैं, और अगर नहीं देखना चाहें तो बिल्कुल आप जा सकते हैं, है ना। तो ठीक है, 56 ओरिजिनल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हैड, जो पहले थी 395 आर्टिकल्स, 8 शेड्यूल्स एंड 22 पार्ट्स, राइट। Here next is what here? Next is current number of articles here, more than 495. अभी का जो आर्टिकल है, अभी जो वर्तमान में जो आर्टिकल है वो कितने हैं? वो हैं अभी नहीं भी तो 495, राइट। 495 आर्टिकल अभी वर्तमान में है, राइट। ओके, सो हियर 58 here, that current number of schedules is 12, right, and here if I'm talking about the current number of parts is 25, right। पहले कितना था? तो पहले ओरिजिनल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जो है वो 395 आर्टिकल्स था, 8 शेड्यूल्स था, और कितने 22 पार्ट्स थे। अब समझ रहे हो? तो यहाँ पे बात यह है कि जो शेड्यूल्स है वो कितना बड़ा है, तो शेड्यूल कितना बड़ा है, तो बड़ा है, ये पहले कितना था? पहले था 8, है ना, अभी प्लस कितना हुआ 4, तो कितने हो गए? टोटल 12 हो गए, राइट। और यहाँ पे अगर बात करें पार्ट्स का, तो पार्ट्स कितने थे? पहले 22 थे, और अभी कितना ऐड हुआ है? तो 3 ऐड हुआ है, तो अभी कितना हो गया? टोटल 25 हो गया, राइट। सो या नेक्स्ट इज is the current number of parts in the constitution is 25, right. 60 is what here? That first schedule provides list of states and details of their territories, right. 61th is what here? 61th is the 8 schedules relates to language, right. Here 62 is what? Total number of language in the current 8 schedule is 22, originally is 14. Okay, next is what? The Sindhi language was added to the 8th schedule by 21st of constitutional amendment 1967, right. Okay, so here the Manipur, Konkani and Nepal language were added to the 8th schedule by 71st constitutional amendment 1992, right. Okay, move to the next 65, right. Okay, so here 65, Bodo, Maithili, Dogri and Santhali language were added to the 8th schedule by 92nd constitutional amendment 2003, right. That Bodo, Maithili, Dogri and Santhali language were added to the 8th schedule by 92nd of constitutional amendment 2003, right. Next is what? Hindi was adopted as the official language of India on 14th of September 1949, right. Next is what here? Hindi Day is celebrated on 14th of September, right. Next is what? The first chairman of the official language commission is B.G. Khare, that we called Bal Gangadhar Khare, right. Next is what here? The second schedule relates to the salaries, allowances and pensions of officials, right. Okay, here 17th is what? Center state relation are described in 7 schedules, right. Okay, let's move to the 71st. Okay, so here 71st is what? Here the 7th schedule relates to distribute of powers between the center and states, right. Okay, so 72nd is what here? The 10th schedule relates to provisions regarding defection, that we called anti-defection, right. Next is what? Next is 73rd. 73rd is what here? 73. The anti-defection law was passed on 15th of February 1985, right. Okay. 74 is what here? Name the country in the constitution, India, right. Okay, the largest part of the constitution is part 5. Okay, the largest part is part 5, right. Okay, here which part mention the federal judiciary is chapter 4 and chapter 5 mention the federal judiciary, right. Here 77 subject part subject of parts 15 and 18 of the constitution here, election and emergency provisions respectively, right? So yeah, so as we know here that if I'm talking about that if I'm talking about here that first is what national emergency, right? Then state emergency, then financial emergency, right? Okay, so it's 352. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's 352. What? 352 is what? It's a national emergency that we call NE. Okay. Now, if I'm talking about SE, that we call the state emergency, is what? If we add here 4, then we will get 356. 356 is a state emergency, right? And then, if I'm talking about financial emergency, that we call FE, is what? If we add here again 4, then we will get 360. So 360 is what? 360 is the financial emergency, and 356 is what? State emergency, and national emergency is what? 352, right? So remember it. Okay. Next, move to the 78th. Okay. Here, the first written. Okay. Here. Okay. Here, the first written constitution, was provided by USA. The first written constitution was provided by USA. Mind it. Okay. 79 is what? The largest written constitution belong to India. Okay. Here, the Article 1, it describes India as a union state, a union of state, right? Article 1 describes India as, a union of state, right? 81 is what? The power of, admit or establish new state is provided in Article 2, right? In Article 2. Okay. Let's move to the 82nd question. That under Article 3, Parliament has the power, to form new states and alter the boundaries, territories, or name of existing state, right? Next is what? When was the state, reorganization commission established? So it's established in when it established. So it's 1953, right? In 1953, that state, when was the state reorganized commission established? So it's 1953, right? Okay. Here, if I'm talking about 84, then chairman of state reorganization commission is Fazal Ali, right? Fazal Ali is the chairman of state reorganization commission, right? Next is what? First state formed on a linguistic basis, first state formed on a linguistic basis, then it's Andhra Pradesh formation 1st of October 1953. Okay. Next is what? Reorganization of states, on linguistic basis occurred in 1956, right? Reorganization of state of linguistic basis, occurred in 1956. Okay. So when was Assam state formed? So it's 1956, right? When was Assam formed? So it's 1956. So Sikkim became the 22nd state, through 36th Constitutional Amendment 1975. Sikkim became the 22nd state through 36th Constitutional Amendment 1975, right? Nagaland state here was formed by 30th Constitutional Amendment 1962, right? Here Goa became a full 25th state by 56th of Amendment 1987, sorry. Okay, so yeah, when did Delhi, get full statehood as the capital? So it's 69th Amendment 1991. Okay, formation of Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand and Jharkhand, that is 1, 9 and 15 November 2000 respectively, right? Formation of Chhattisgarh is 1st of November, right? Formation of Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh is 1st of November, right? And Uttarakhand is 9th of November, and then Jharkhand is 15th of November 2000, right? So in 2000, there are 3 states formed. First, Chhattisgarh, 1st of November, second Uttarakhand, 9th of November, and then Jharkhand is 15th of November, right? Okay. So your formation of Telangana state, 2nd June 2014 by bifurcating Andhra Pradesh, right? So here sovereignty of the constitution resides in the people, right? Resides in the people. Okay, so 95 is what here? 95 is federal state administrative model in the constitution is inspired from Canada. The federal state administrative model in the constitution is inspired from Canada. Mind it, okay? Here, directive principle of state policy are inspired from Soviet Union, that we call DPSP. DPSP, that we call directive principles of state policy, are inspired from Soviet Union, right? Next is what here? It's a parliament system. It's a parliamentary system. Single citizenship and lawmaking, I mean to say, procedure are adopted from Britain, right? So here parliamentary system and the single citizenship and lawmaking, procedure, the process are adopted from Britain, right? Okay. So here the fundamental right, judicial review are taken from the Constitution of the USA, right? So the fundamental rights and the judicial review are taken from the Constitution of USA, right? Okay, so 99th is what? Procedure of the law, established by legislation is adopted from Japan, right? Procedure of law establishment by legislation is adopted from Japan, right? Okay. So here the 100th question is what? The directive principle of state policy, and presidential election, procedure are taken from Ireland, right? Next is what? Emergency provisions in the Indian constitution are taken from Germany's Weimar constitution, right? Okay. Second is what? 102 is what? The parliament is given the power to amend the constitution under Article 368 Part 20, right? Okay, so here 103 is first amendment of the constitution took place in 1951, right? So current number of the states in the state union and concurrent list is 61, 152, right? State is 61, union is 100, and concurrent list is 52, right? Respectively. That's the current number of state policy, state subjects in state, I mean to say current number of subjects in a state, union and concurrent list is 61, 152, right? Okay, so here both center state have the power to make laws on subject in the concurrent list, right? Okay. 106 is what? Forest and environment are subjects of concurrent list. 107 is what? Concurrent list, is inspired from Australia. Education and newspapers are subjects of concurrent list, right? Education was transformed from state list to a concurrent list, by 42nd of Constitution Amendment 1976, right? 110 is what? Single citizenship is influenced by Britain, right? Here, citizenship is a subject of union list, right? Citizenship is a subject of union list, right? Okay. Next is what? Next is 111 here, that it's the second 111, police, panchayati raj, land reforms, gas, agriculture, law and order are subject of state list, right? This is the state list. What? Police, panchayat raj and land reforms, gas, agriculture, law and order, are subjects of state list. Okay. Next is what? Next is railway, postal service. Railways, postal services, defense, radio, television, banking, insurance, and census are subjects of union list, right? Okay, here, provision for citizenship in India, that is single citizenship, right? Next is what? Citizenship is mentioned in Part 2 of the Constitution, Article 5 to 11. The citizenship is mentioned in Part 2 of the Constitution, Article 5 to 11, right? Indian citizenship can be acquired by birth, descent, registration, naturalization, and acquisition of territory, right? Next is to acquire citizenship, by registration, one must reside in India for 5 years, right? To acquire citizenship by registration, one must reside in India for 5 years, right? Okay, next is what? To acquire citizenship registration, one must reside in India for 5 years, as I said. Okay, here, to acquire citizenship by naturalization, one must reside in India for 5 years, right? Next is what? Here, next is first citizenship. First Citizenship Amendment Act was passed in 1955, right? First Citizenship Amendment Act passed in 1955, right? तो ये था मेरा एक्चुअली नेक्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, जो कि मैंने 118 तक कंप्लीट किया है। अभी बहुत सारे बचे हुए हैं जो कि मैं बताने वाला हूँ, सबका सब मैं बताऊंगा। 118 तक मेरा कंप्लीट हो चुका अभी तक, और ये बहुत सारे बचे हुए हैं जो मैं नेक्स्ट पार्ट में मैं कवर करूंगा। ठीक है, आप कंटिन्यू बने रहो और सारा का सारा जो डेटा है वो आपको मिलेगा। डोंट वरी, बी हैप्पी, राइट? सो मैं धीरे धीरे इसको बताता जाऊंगा और पार्ट बाय पार्ट सारा का सारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को मैं ऐड कर दूंगा, राइट? सो घबराने की कोई बात नहीं। 454 टोटल है, अभी तक 118 हुआ है। सो या वेट, आई विल बी रिलीज।